Well. It's 9 o'clock local time. 2100 hours for you civilized folks. A kid. But here we are. We got still on the road to get back home. We got a little drive yet. A little over an hour. So I figured, since I got time, I'll come talk nonsense with anybody that's willing to listen. And fish, it's okay. I'm not opposed to talking fish one bit. You guys know that. But maybe you guys want to talk about something else. You guys got questions about whatever. We can definitely entertain them, and we'll see what's up. But right now, it looks like it's just me and the one and only S hanging in here. So we'll see if people show up. I don't know. It's a little bit later. People got to get to work tomorrow. So we'll see if people show up. Great. If not, maybe I'll browse the old face space and see if I can find some random questions to just answer. If there's any questions in here, I'll field some questions off Facebook, and what I'll do is I'll just scroll through, see if I can find a question, and I'll share my 2 cents with all of you guys. As said, Facebook's notifications just hit, so we'll see if people pop in. I see Mr. Snail, Guardians, Jess from Main Tails, Furs and Fins, Bob Kaler, howdy, 3G. What? Oh my God. Hope you guys are all doing well tonight. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hopefully it was longer than usual. And mine was fairly uneventful. Drove over, saw some family, and if you guys tuned in to a little snippet earlier, you'll know that I went out to the Black Hills and driving home right now. So you guys probably don't just want to see headlights on the road, but that's what you're gonna get right now. My Fish Tanks Aquatics, what's up? Patrick's in the house. Dragon Lair, howdy, hey. Bob, good evening, Mr. Bob from Kaler's Aquatics and Exotics. Good stuff. Well, I'm thinking about it, Bob. I should be, if you're interested, maybe have somebody lined up, maybe not. I should be free this coming Sunday, as far as I know. I could throw a little talk together if you wanted somebody to jump on and join you to talk. Otherwise, I would gladly tune in to the stream and do what I can do to participate and toss some questions around here and there. Alshan AS, hey, Matt from Liquid Zoo, Only Fins, welcome back, my guy. Glad to see you guys here. Patrick said he's not going to miss my shenanigans. I haven't even started the shenanigans yet. I tried to keep things as selfish as it may be, or maybe not. I've tried to keep things fairly civil in my streams and to turn out to cause a ruckus in some other people's streams. Depends on who shows up. Sometimes we get a little rowdy, and that's okay. That's all right. If anybody is interested, I believe I did pin the silly StreamYard link in the chat. If you guys would like to jump up on stream for a little bit and chat, you are more than welcome to. Right now we've only got about 5 guys in here. I've got, like I said, about another hour drive. So we'll play this game until people are sick of it. It may pick up depending on what we get into. If you haven't yet, if you want to share this one with your friends, this will be a little probably less informative than usual. A little more of a casual hangout. It's Labor Day. Celebrate all the hard work we've done this summer, and we'll relax a little bit and have fun, and hang out, get to know each other. If somebody has a question or wants to, stoke the fire with some deep, meaningful conversation, you guys know that I am always willing to entertain the idea. Ask Patty. She knows how that goes, whether she likes it or not. And she always gripes, but she always comes back. So we'll see. Liquid Zoo, check it on for not head north. And if we get on StreamYard, I'm actually heading south. I just left Sioux Falls. So I'm currently, I don't know, just past the T Lennox area. So, you an idea of where I'm at. In fact, you guys probably can't see it. There's the exit for Canton. If you're not familiar with South Dakota, you're going to get familiar with South Dakota, because all it is I-90, I-29, and a bunch of signs for tiny little towns in the side of the state. Liquid Zoo, yep, you're definitely familiar with the area. I am not far from Beersford, maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes. Patrick won't miss the screaming lime green Jeep. It is tough to miss, even in the dark. You should be able to pick this bad boy out. Oh, but I digress. The name of the show is All Things Fish. These are the Labor Day Shenanigans. And Bob Kaler coming in hot with the question: do you personally use substrate and water column ferts both for stem plants? We got into this a little bit earlier, Bob. I was talking about all the comments about root tabs out there. So in my 25, I have currently 88 Amazon, which is an aquasoil, or more or less, it's, in layman's terms, pelletized dirt. So they take dirt, make little balls, they bake them. So it has a high affinity for not only holding nutrients but absorbing nutrients. Now, what that means is that if you do not supply nutrients to the tank, that aquasoil will contain enough nutrients in it to sustain the tank for a while. But eventually, those nutrients will actually become exhausted. So what happens is you can dose water column ferts, whether you're using something like APT Complete or Thrive from Nylock G. You dose the water column with a liquid fert, like an all-in-one, or you can use a method like PPS or EI to dose dry salts. And what will happen is you'll dose the water column, and whatever plants don't pull out of the water column itself, that aquasoil, if it's a active substrate, so something that can actually hold a bunch of nutrients as opposed to like inert sand or gravel, will absorb excess nutrients and hold that in the actual aquasoil itself, where the roots can attempt to obtain nutrients. Now, despite the common thinking, which is kind of a misconception, that your rosette or your sword type plants like Crips and your Amazons only feed from the substrate. Now, all plants, whether they're stems, rosettes, etc., feed from both the water column and the substrate. Now, we get used to the idea, and sometimes people translate it poorly, that terrestrial plants, more or less almost exclusively obtain their nutrients from their roots, so from the substrate. And that's because, well, there's not a whole lot of nutrients in there. There's some that the plant can access, largely being carbon in the form of CO2. But when you put it so they absorb some CO2 to the leaves, we've all like a basic biochemistry type classes or science classes from high school stuff. You learn how plants uptake CO2 from the atmosphere. But since the atmosphere is, a fairly dry environment, when a plant is kept in its terrestrial form, there's like a waxy cuticle that forms on the leaves, and that makes it hard for the leaves to uptake nutrients from the air itself. So aside from the air not really having a ton of nutrients to offer, the leaves just, because of that thick outside layer, don't absorb nutrients well. When you transition those plants to being submerged underwater, they no longer need that outside layer to retain moisture, so they actually have thinner leaves, generally speaking, and can uptake a lot of nutrients. Since there's more nutrients found in the water column in the atmosphere, they don't have that barrier there. They can uptake a lot of nutrients through the actual leaf structure. So to answer your question, Bob, I use an active substrate, so something that's either nutrient or has the ability to hold nutrients. So if you look at something like Eco-Complete, it's not necessarily a nutrient-rich when you get it, but it has a high CEC or a cation exchange capacity. It's more or less its ability to absorb and hold some nutrients. I'm going to say a ton, but some. So I personally just dose the water column. Now, if you have a substrate like gravel that's a little bit larger and you have some water flow through it, that those, while the roots may be in the substrate because of the large grain size of that gravel, the roots are still feeding from the water column because there's water moving through that substrate. If you get into something like sand, so inner sand, which can compact pretty bad. So compact, it squishes down together. There's not much room in between it. It goes anaerobic quite easily. It doesn't actually, the sand itself doesn't hold any nutrients. So if you want to provide an option for nutrients to be taken up through the roots by plants, you will need to add something to the substrate. Just if you want to leave that option there, right? Now, a lot of people may use like if you use like a gravel, it's kind of silly to use a root tab because root tab is basically just releasing water up into the water column, right? But if you use a root tab or like a substrate supplement, we'll say, in something like sand, where the sand itself compacts and actually creates a barrier between the substrate and the water column, root tabs seem like a good option for some people because that barrier actually locks the nutrients into the substrate to an extent and prevents them from being released into the water column, where people think that if they have excess nutrients in the water column, that they'll end up with algae, which isn't quite the case. In fact, if you look at a lot of algae, people think that if they have an abundance of nutrients in the water, that they'll have algae. Actually, a lot of algae can be triggered or caused by insufficient nutrients in the water column. But that's going out on a different tangent. So hopefully that answered your question, Bob. Do I use root tabs and water column fertilizers for stem plants? No, I just use water column ferts. However, depending on your substrate, you may want to consider just to offer them an additional way to uptake nutrients. For those, a lot of people ask, well, what root tabs do I recommend? I prefer the Thrive caps from Nylock G Aquatics. That's www.nylockg.com. And more or less, that's your micro, macro dry salts in a gel cap is what it is. So it's pretty simple. Nothing too crazy. Dragonlander said quite a few terrestrial plants can absorb nutrients in leaves. Yeah, for sure. I think I touched on that. Fights, Waterford, Skull Aquatics. What's up, buddy? Danny Weshy. Hey, if you guys don't follow Danny Weshy, shame on you. If you do follow Danny Weshy, you'll know that the instant top 100 hit, Glassbox Hero, unfortunately was temporarily removed from YouTube. And I was stoked the other day to see that not only did he release his next hit single, Algae, but he also was able to re-upload Glassbox Hero. If you haven't watched it, pause this stream right now or play it in the background. Go over to Danny Weshy's channel. If somebody can link it, please link it. Check out Glassbox Hero because Danny is he's a talented dude, and he was able to twist some pretty wicked lyrics for it. The guy's got some skills, man. He's got some skills on a variety of instruments. It's great stuff. Skull Aquatics in the house. Zen Ginger, howdy. Thanks for stopping by, Zen. Glad to have you here. Good evening, man. Order some springtails for Bioactive Viv for a gold gecko. That's awesome, Danny. I hope you make some videos of that because that is a so fish tanks are fun. But I recently got into, I mean, isn't recently, like I've done it in the past, but a polyadarium or a Viv, super cool stuff. And there's a lot of the bioactive aspect that comes into play. So I've got one of the Exoterra or Zoom Ed, I think it's Exoterra. It's the size of a 40 breeder, but it's got the front opening doors that I think I'm going to put some Gold Mantellas in. So that'll be fun. So I'll do a little build series on that if I have time. Unfortunately, because of work, that won't happen until probably this spring. Just because it's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. Patrick. Withdrawal. I don't know about withdrawal. I enjoy talking plants. Bob said very thoroughly answer. Glad I was able to answer it. Scold me. Matt, why would I scold you, Matt? I missed it. Sorry, bud. It's a big deal. Say it again. No mods. Oh, Anthony's here in the house. He's lurking. I think Anthony's kid's sick, so hope the kid feels better, Anthony. Hopefully work doesn't pick up too much this week. I know you said you were pretty busy last week. Didgeridoo into a future song. I think. Let me think about it, Danny. I think I might have some ideas for a didgeridoo future song, and I have absolutely no musical talent, but maybe I can throw some suggestions and see what kind of cool spin-off stuff, parody type things you can come up with. A talented didgeridoo player. That would a didgeridoo loop. That would be pretty awesome. And again, for the new folks here, there's only 12 of us here. I plan to maybe chat for about an hour, but I did, I believe, post the link in the chat. If you want to go up on StreamYard and yak and ask questions. Ooh, a song about Australian rainbow fish. That would be fitting, Danny. That would be quite fitting. Now, yeah, my brain's turning. I'll come up with some ideas, Danny, and I'll buzz them your way and see what we can add. Zen Ginger, didgeridoo or didgeridoo? Didgeridoo, of course. That's the only answer. That's the only answer. No. Do this. Does that work? I don't know. We'll see if that worked or not. I don't know. Right there shows you new fish. Bob got new fish. This is Bob's stream the other night. But if he got new fish, I'd be definitely interested in hearing about them, if not seeing them. That would be great. I should mod people. I could hit mods, but I think I added Bob as a mod. Bob's probably busy with his fish right now, so if he really wants to, I can. Anthony's here. I don't know. Fish Tropic. What's up, meow? Meow. How you doing tonight, Fish Tropic? Hope you're doing well. Danny Rushy says he wants to do. I'm trying to play this game here. Got stuff open at different screens. It's kind of a mess. We'll see. Someone at the link. Oh, yes, you should know I don't necessarily need saves. I can ramble well enough on my own generally, especially if somebody poses a question like, hey, Bob. Bob asked one question that hogged up 21 minutes of ever release time. Just kidding. It's a good question, Bob. That's a good question. Careful your siblings. I was trying to, somebody wanted me to make people mods, so I was trying to figure out bounce back and forth between screens. Feed fish and lurking. Well, we're glad you're here, Bob. I'm sure somebody said you got any fish. So if you get time, whenever, I'd love to see them, hear about them. Unfortunately, Danny, I'm still I'm not in the middle of South Dakota anymore, but I'm out in the middle of nowhere, between Sioux Falls and Sioux City on good old I-29. There's not a whole lot of hit out here. I haven't even seen it here. If you can fly, I trust you. There's a lot fewer things to hit up in the sky at 35,000 feet. There's the big sky theory is in full effect, and so far it hasn't treated me wrong. There's nothing here. I wouldn't necessarily say it's in the middle of nowhere. We're off the coast. Danny shared links to both of his insta hit singles, Glassbox Hero and Algae. I thought Algae was great, but I think I'm a little partial to Glassbox Heroes because what's seen first is usually like best. So I did like Glassbox Hero a little bit better, I think. They were both good stuff, though. Algae's a little more along my lines of music. The Glassbox Hero, like I said, it's the first one I saw from you, so I'm a little bit partial. But great job on both of them, and I can't wait to see what you come up with next. Like I said, talent playing the instruments is unmatched, we'll say, and creativity is super awesome. So, appreciate the plugs, Danny. Zen Jitsu's partial to Pantera. I can see that. Pantera's pretty slick. I'm definitely a fan. I don't know if you are going to work a didgeridoo into a Pantera parody, but you might. It might be more impressive that way, Danny. Dragon said, ever try to pull back on a stick while driving like that to get off the ground? I haven't yet. There's a lot of times where I wish I could. Ian's here. What's up, Ian? If you guys missed Ian's stream earlier, again, shame on you. I think, as Matt stopped by for a while. Ian streamed for a couple hours, and we saw some fish, some freshwater stuff, some saltwater stuff, and we ended it on the glorious high note of Ryan's meet, which was truly a pleasure to see. Hashtag no homo. So before I go, I do feel like, yes, I know, I do feel like kind of talk about fish here a little bit. So before I go plunder Facebook for silly questions, does anybody have anything on their mind? Just really, really burning. You got an hankering to, not necessarily maybe hear my 2 cents out about, but anybody's 2 cents. We got 15 people here. It's a pretty good little showing. There are some smart minds, smarter minds than mine. Some different creative thoughts. We could definitely come up with some opinions for sure, and hopefully some right answers to potentially help people out. So, if you got any questions, comments, ideas? Aquaponics liquid ferts in aquaria. Well, to be honest, I can't imagine they're all that different. I personally haven't looked into them. So now you've got me thinking. I'd like to take a look at them. I'd imagine, since it's geared more towards like vegetative growth than necessarily being fish friendly, that maybe they have some ammonium or something though. But I have to look. If you know the composition of the difference in them, Danny, I'd love to hear about them. I've personally never had any interest or looked into aquaponics at all. When it comes to fertilizers, I like to keep it cheap, and I have Colin and LFG Aquatics dry salts that I dose myself. You guys have seen that in my videos. We've done 25. And I keep a bottle of Thrive on hand for when I'm out of town. It's easy for Troy to just give it a shot. So if you can tell me a little bit about aquaponics liquid ferts, Danny, I'm all ears. I'm definitely open to learn about them. Like I said, I honestly don't know about them. It's something that I've never even thought about using in a fish tank. I imagine they're primarily similar. So, yeah, that would be a good conversation. That is something to look into. Scott's Aquatics, nice stinger. Thanks, bud. This is it was my wife's. I got to take over. It's a 2012 JTU on 35s. S, forgot to email me about plants. S, talk to me about plants that bother me. Let's be an email. Find me on Facebook, brother. And if you're looking for plants, I got rid of a bunch of mine recently because I did tear the 125 apart. I don't know if I showed you guys that or not. I think I did. But I did get rid of a bunch of species. But I do have plants that I could maybe steer away from looking. Mine is a skull of fruits. There's not much up in between the old year and this There's some sorts where things like the obvious vegetative growth. I'm picking up which one now, Danny. I honestly don't know. I'd have to look at the composition of them. I can't imagine they're too different than all in one. So, Zenjin, how the heck is it already September? You're telling me in the next, no, 6 months. I'll say 6 months from now. Going to go by fast for me. It's going to be fast. Skippers Aquariums is in the house. What's up? How you doing? Ian asked if I've got like an Andra, the Oldie Silver Queen. I do have. I've got silver. I've got chocolate. I've got red, and a friend of mine has some Bleeding Heart. And Bleeding Heart might be my newest favorite. Silver powders, pretty slick though. Tom's here, so you guys can look at Tom's face. What's up, Tom?
What's up, bud?
How you been, bud?
Good, yourself?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Do pick up.
Yeah,
Tom's
I got
face
her.
is
She's in bed. Gave her a bath and everything. She good to go.
Yeah. What'd you do this weekend, man? Anything for Labor Day? You probably chilled out after your vacation.
Now, well, I went back to work, so it was,
Okay.
I was at work this weekend, so my days off are tomorrow and Wednesday, but unfortunately, I got to go to court tomorrow to be a witness for an accident that happened on the lake.
On the
But
lake.
I won't be doing nothing.
How was your vacation? I think you guys had a pretty decent time there.
Uh, it was good. The only issue for me was it was too damn hot. Holy
Oh
cow!
yeah.
It was
We
in the
went down there in
90s.
April.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. Wait until November to January to go down there, because that's the times we was down there before, and it was perfect. Like we'd be
Yeah.
down there in shorts and a t-shirt, and everybody else be wearing long johns. And
Yeah. Well, hell, even in April when we went, it was in the 90s.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the time frame I just said is the perfect time to go because it's considered their winter, and it's the best time to be
Yeah.
in Florida because the humidity ain't so high.
Yeah. Now, was it very busy down there as far as people?
Yeah, actually it was. It was busy.
Yeah. It's, cool. Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of fun down there in April, and I'd say it was a lot busier than I thought it would be. I mean, busy enough to the point that we weren't able to do certain things that we wanted to do because there just
Yeah.
lines were long and there were too many people there. Bob says, if you need witness protection, he'll cut you a deal there, Tom.
No, the reason why I'm going is to help somebody out because what's going on is a bunch of BS.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Somebody's just trying to be too happy. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, you see that
one
way
of
too often anymore.
I was one of the first responders on the incident, so they're going to lose. That's all there is to it.
I hope so.
Oh,
Danny said he's dreaming of a white sand beach Christmas. I will most likely have the sandy part down for Christmas, but this year I won't be on the beach, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're going the other direction this year, so we'll see. Sometimes, believe it or not, sometimes I do actually work and do my job. Not very often.
Oh, come on.
Not very often.
Quit lying to everybody. Stop it.
Sometimes I do actually have a job. Chubbs is live. I haven't seen Chubbs in a while.
Oh, shit. Today's Monday. He goes live at 10.
Yeah. So I didn't even get a notification or anything that he was on. So.
He just started 30 seconds ago, but
It feels like Sunday to me. I was checking to see if Griff was going because I haven't stopped by one of Griff's streams in a long time.
Griff hasn't been streaming. He's been dealing with some personal stuff and stuff, with his fish room. So he's been pretty busy.
Patrick, not quite white sands. There'd be a lot of sand, but not so much white sands. All right, Ian. We'll see you in a bit, bud. Danny, I want to say that I fully expect a Christmas tune out of you, and I will. Maybe I'll see if I can toss some ideas together, at least pitch them to you and see see if I can lend a hand in some way, shape, or form. Bob said he misses Griffin, and so does. I joined Griff streams a few times when I was in Guam. I haven't been in too many since then, but they always turned into like 6-hour marathons.
Oh yeah.
Griff's,
he actually, because I was co-hosting with him for a while. He cut it back, and we was trying to do topics and stuff for him, and then just life happens. We all know how that is.
Actually, I found it a lot easier to stream when I was in Guam last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really have a ton of outside stuff to do, and I got home, and I still try to stream at least once a month, but it's nowhere near the frequency nor the quality that they were. And I apologize to you guys. I mean, I know some of you guys like Hangouts, but I try to be fairly informational. I haven't been doing a very good job of that lately.
There's nothing wrong with that. You definitely need streams that's informational. You try to do informational, and then like I'm not as informational as you per se. So you can only go so far. But the way I do my streams is if you've been there. You just come up, we talk, whatever the chat feeds us, we do that. But I'll still ask questions too. I mean, it's hard to find.
Right.
I personally think it's hard to find the balance. You know.
Oh yeah, it's tough. There's a level of you have to maintain some sort of entertainment value or simple social interaction, and not just put people to sleep. Like, I mean, look at Patty. Look at Patty. I already put her to sleep tonight, and we haven't even been going for half an hour now.
And since you said her name, she will show up unless she went over to Chubb's stream.
All right. She's around. I don't know if she's still in here. She stopped by right when I first popped up once everybody's notifications hit. That was about it. She's been pretty quiet. She talked to me a little bit earlier. Bob, do you have any plan for Sunday at all? Or do you have a topic you want to touch on at all? There's Patty. That didn't take long. Her ears are burning. Her ears are burning. There's Patty. You can always count on Patty. I probably woke her up when I said her name because I put her to sleep in the first 30 minutes of the stream. She's honked out right away. She's done. Over. She heard that sweet drone of my voice as soon as I said hello and put her right to sleep. Didn't even finish the first sentence, and Patty was out.
She's like, I'm gonna get a good night's sleep now.
Oh yeah. That's the only reason she comes around, man. Get a good sleep. And if that's all I'm good for to her, then you know what? At least I helped her get to sleep. That's I.
They're talking about Chubbs. He has power from the generator. I got a thing to say about that. My brother-in-law is down there with his electrical company. He's stationed in Baton Rouge, but I'm sure if his boss works it right, they'll get down that way. But they're just trying. They're trying. It's just so much that's going on down there that they just can't get to.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it seems like every time that just kind of the third coast down there, especially like Louisiana, they get hit with the storm. Takes them a few years. They finally get back on their feet, and then they just get schwacked again.
So the messed up thing about Ida was 16 years from Katrina. So it was like it came on the anniversary of Katrina.
That's what I was going to say. Was it like to the day?
Yeah, it was
Exactly.
close. I don't know for sure. I'm gonna say it was close, but that's what they said on the news. But it was like, what the heck? And then after Ida went through, I mean, it destroyed a lot of places. Not, I know Louisiana and them they got hit hard, but it destroyed a lot of stuff the whole way up because it hit Pennsylvania, and then it went back out to the ocean, and then it hit the countries out of our borders. But that one was
Yeah.
messed up. But
Well, I mean, it was fortunately. So I think I'm trying to think if I'm thinking Katrina. It just moved so slow that it just dumped a ton of rain. Fortunately, fortunately, unfortunately, it moved fast because it had like 160-mile-an-hour winds. But those
it
winds
actually
carried it.
stalled. It stalled on the southern part of Louisiana, which I do believe where Chubbs is from.
Yeah,
They're the ones who got hit the hardest, unfortunately.
yeah, that sucked. So, did you get any rain or anything up all the way up by you there?
Yeah. So while I was in Disney, uh, Ida was going up the Gulf of Mexico. Uh, the
Oh yeah.
day we were supposed to fly out, it was a Thursday, I believe, and it was supposed to be at 4 p.m. Well, they canceled our flight because Ida was in Pennsylvania then. And
Oh really?
yeah, we got a 7:45 flight. We landed about quarter till 10 something. I made it home just in time before the floods really hit us.
Oh really? So you guys did get a bunch of rain then?
Oh yeah, it was bad. Like anybody that got hit with that damn thing got a bunch of water.
Yeah.
Because the issue with the Gulf of Mexico right now is the temperature of it is pretty high.
Oh yeah.
So it was able to gain a lot of moisture, a lot of speed with the winds and everything else. And then when it got up inland, it was had so much moisture that it had nowhere else to go with it because it started decreasing. It just dumped on everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And then it hit the ocean again, and then it picked back up. I do
Yeah.
believe I do. I remember in one of the streams we was in. I can't remember if it was Ball or if it was mine that it hit Nova Scotia.
That's wild.
Hmm.
That a storm is that big. I remember. What was it? Was it was it Andrew or Floyd that like ran all the way up the coast a
That was
while back?
Andrew.
Yeah,
But
that was.
Sandy did the same thing about. I think that one was like 2 years ago. It went up the coast, and it was unfortunately for us up here, but unfortunately for Jersey and all them coastal shore places, is it was cold. It and they got a bunch of snow and flooding. It destroyed a lot then. Sandy really hit Jersey bad.
Well, that's just Jersey. It's okay. What's the few Jersey people falling for? I'm kidding. Florida Fish Rescue. What's crack a whacking?
What's up, Mike? Mike, I'm hoping you all are feeling better. Unfortunately, they got hit with the human malware.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Hope you're feeling better. But,
I
so
I got to tell you, I made a joke to him because while I was down there in Florida, we had an off day, and I was going to go visit Mike. And I said, "Listen, you only got sick because you didn't want me to come kick you in the shin."
I think you owed him too.
Yeah, I was going to pay some money.
Alshan said they got 9 inches of rain.
Yeah,
Woof.
if I ain't mistaken, Alice Shan's in PA also, and there's quite a
Yeah,
few places that got a foot.
that's a lot of water.
Yeah,
I
it
know.
was just like it was a weird one. Like you could watch a hurricane and be able to figure out what it's doing if you're watching a radar, This one they just couldn't. They're going to tell you, but I feel as though as you got more than what they were saying.
Yeah. Now out here in the Midwest, it's been a fairly borderline drought year this year, but we got 3 inches of rain the other day. And, I mean, the ground was so dry that there's nowhere for the water to go. So a lot of people ended up with water damage. There's actually a small tornado that went through one town during the same storm.
So you guys' issue was it was too hard of a rain that the ground couldn't soak it up.
Yeah, I mean, the ground was literally so hard and it rained so fast that it couldn't take any of the water.
Trust me, I remember those years. It was the same way out in Rapid City.
You were probably here about the time we had a bunch of fires in hills. There was a good 5, almost 10 years where, you know, the lakes were feet, like 10, 15 feet down.
Yeah, there's a lake out by Rapid City. I think it starts with an S. I can't remember the full name of it, but yeah, the 6 years, or sorry, the 4 years I was out there, it did get pretty low, and then the year after it got filled up pretty quickly.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it really, you get in the Midwest. I mean, you get one good snow in the winter, and it'll dump a surprise amount of water.
Yeah. Well, the issue with out there in South Dakota is the ground is when it dries up, it gets real hard, and whenever you dump a lot of water on it, you know, it's like you're dumping water on concrete.
Yeah, there's just there's nowhere for it to go, man.
Yeah. Well, I remember those days dealing with flooding on the base and everything. It's just it's a totally different world out there. But I'll be honest with you, I'd rather have y'all's heat than what we have on the East Coast. And I really missed it when I was in Florida.
Yeah.
I was like, boy, I miss that dry heat. This humidity sucks.
What's up, Lori? Hope you're doing well tonight.
Hi, Lori.
They lost power. Now, all 14 of you that are in the chat, has anybody here lost power with a bunch of fish tanks or a couple of fish tanks for longer than a day? I've made it a day, no problem. And I know how to deal with it, but I'm wondering if anybody in here has actually had the problem where they were without power for, a couple days or longer. Chubbs is in rough shape right now, and I don't know why Chubbs is even streaming. I'd be way worried about other things. But has anybody in here lost power for an extended period of time? Actually, just this year, before I leave to go do other stuff, I'm going to get a generator for the house. Not necessarily so much for the fish room, just for the house itself, so that while I'm gone, if there's an ice storm, whatever, that my wife doesn't have to worry about anything. Mike said you in a whole month.
Yeah. Oh yeah, last year they got that the one hurricane they got hit pretty hard, but he had a generator though. So I've done some research on that because of the fact that I have sponge filters and mechanical. And say you have a hang on the back, you better just change. I would personally, if it's me, if it's over a day, because there's no water flow, there is I forget the name of it, to where if you turn it back on, the beneficial bacteria can turn bad.
Oh yeah.
When you turn that on initially, you're just dumping all that bad bacteria. But if you have sponge filters, it's in the same water anyways. I think you could. Me personally, I would think you could go at least 2 or 3 days. But like Bob's saying, you're gonna have a bunch of ammonia build up.
Yeah. No.
If you live in town, like where I live at, I can run my water without power because they got power. The only difference is I don't have hot water unless I have a generator. So you can still get fresh water to them depending upon where you live.
Yeah. Now, God, my headphones died, so if it sounds like crap, let me know, and I'll kill it. I don't want to bust your guys' ears listening to this garbage.
No, your sounds good, bud.
Not too bad. All right, cool.
That's good.
Now, I would say for like if you do have either a canister or a hang-on back, if you know the power's going to be out for a little while, what I would do is I'd rinse that filter media separately, and then I just put your media in the tank itself. Is what I would do. That way, your media is not going to go anaerobic or anything, because it's just in the tank, and your tank's got a much larger water volume. There's a lot more oxygen dissolved in the water column, so it's going to hold that stuff a little bit better. So
I would recommend to get some of those air pumps that are battery backup or just battery powered, whichever.
yeah.
Or you can get something that I have one. I just got to fix the plug on it. But you plug it in, it runs a constant power, but it's always charging a battery.
Right.
And then when the power goes out, it picks off the battery for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But if you're going with days of not having power, I would definitely recommend getting battery air pumps and have the air stones, sponge filters, hooked up to it so that it makes it better for the fish.
Right. Now, one thing I have done is we did lose power for about a day once in the middle of winter, so it was pretty chilly. And my neighbors probably thought I was a nutcase for it. But I ran a decent-sized power inverter from my vehicle. I ran an extension cord inside the house and was able to run. I ran a small, like a power head, and then the heater for my saltwater tank off of my car, basically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they have, because your heater is going to be your biggest power draw, to be honest.
It's more wattage, yeah.
So what I did was, just like I said, ran that to the heater and the pump, and then I'd run them, for maybe 5-10 minutes once every couple hours, and that kept the tank, both up to temp, and then kept some good circulation in there for oxygen.
But that's one of the issues is when you lose everything, it becomes stagnant. So when it becomes stagnant, you got a lot of everything building up in it.
Yeah. So I think Geek Boy just mentioned that he uses like a hospital tank or a bucket and moves his media into there with an air stone to keep the actual beneficial bacteria cranking.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. See you, MFT. We'll catch you later, man. Have a good night.
Good night, bud.
Another thing that I see people, they recommend it, and some people say they have one. But I think, generally speaking, it's either not a very viable option, or people get one of insufficient size. So you can get like a battery backup, like a UPS that's designed for a computer almost.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue with that is, like a UPS or a battery backup is more or less designed to give your computer enough time to properly shut down and save everything that's running, and then properly shut down. It's not really designed for a decent power draw over a long period of time. So if you run a heater, I mean, it's not necessarily a huge battery itself. Now with, the affordability of lithium batteries coming down, you can get a lot more for the size and for your money. But I think traditional, like a battery backup or UPS, really isn't going to run but maybe 1 or 2 tanks. And definitely, I would say not as long as most people think that it would be able to. Skull Aquatic said they use their truck and inverter. Yep. Works pretty slick, easy enough. And I mean, a power inverter, you can get a reasonable sized power inverter that plugs into your truck pretty cheap. Definitely easy insurance.
Oh, yeah. My buddy, it's funny you say about power inverter. My buddy bought one just for his speaker. It was a plug-in speaker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when it comes down to it, you might as well just start saving your money to get a generator, because I would love to get one to run my whole house.
Right.
But I mean, you can get a generator. You can put a male into the generator and a male into an outlet, but you better go shut your main power off at your breaker, and you could run stuff just doing it that way. But you gotta like cycle what you want, like your refrigerator, your deep freezers, and then because to me that's something that you want to do first, and then once they get up to the cool temperature, then start running your fish tanks and stuff.
Yeah.
Just do a cycle with it.
Yeah. That's so Matt from Liquid Zoo said that he had a customer that ran, several servers with a couple UPSs. I mean, like I said, it depends on the size and it depends on the load on them. But I think at what point in time, do people spend, like you said, so much money on either battery pumps or battery backups that they could have had? I mean, you can get, honestly, if you wanted to cheap out and just have like an emergency backup, you can go to like Costco or Sam's Club and get like a 3,500 or 4,000 watt generator for a few $100. And that's going to be sufficient to run a lot more in your house than just a couple things in your fish room.
Yeah, you just got to rotate everything out. You all are saying UPSs, you mean USBs, right? When you're talking about computer stuff. 2 hours on UPS. That should be USB, right? I got confused with that. I'm sorry. But yeah, the best thing to do. Oh, universal power supply. Thank you, Matt. Sorry. I was thinking of a USB for your computer.
Alishan, that's one of the nice things about living in the Midwest. If you lose power, it's usually because of a snowstorm, and you just put your food outside, man.
Yeah. If you got frozen stuff, just throw it in the 4 to 6 foot snow drift, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, you throw that stuff out in the snowbank, and you call it a day.
I remember doing that whenever I was a kid, helping everything out at mom and dad's house. It's funny.
Yeah. So, anyways, no. So I mean, there's a lot of considerations going into. Obviously, it's tough to plan for major power outages. Like you get one of those storms like Geek Boy was talking about when Andrew went through, or Chubbs is dealing with Ida right now. It's tough to be prepared for that, but I think honestly the best insurance you can have, and fortunately Chubbs has a generator, whether he had to go get one after the storm or whether he was prepared and had one. Like I said, even for $300-400, you can go get a cheaper, like what's Costco or Sam's Club has like the Champion brand, I think.
Yeah.
And it'll run not just your fish tanks, but a bunch of stuff in your house just so you can get by. And they don't take up a lot of room. You can keep it in the garage. You can keep it out in the shed. I mean, Matt made a good point that you should, a dual fuel, so you have a couple options. It's gonna, because if you look at when those storms go through the Gulf, particularly, everybody's freaking out about gas shortages and not being able to find fuel. So definitely something to consider there.
Yeah, you definitely want the dual. You start off with, do your unleaded, but have your propane ready to go because you'll more. It depends on how bad things get. You're more likely going to end up switching to it.
Yeah, and Danny said he fast cooled some meat by putting a pot in the snow. you get creative and you take advantage of that cold weather outside sometimes, man.
Hell, you can make some ice cream just doing that.
So Skull said he hones his right. Skull said he hones his barbecue skills during powder outages. Now I saw a guy the other day, and I mean, I figured this probably existed, but I had never actually seen one. But he had a power inverter for like a Milwaukee, like an 18-volt cordless battery. He had a power inverter that slid into the battery, and he said, I think he had a 4-amp battery, and he was able to run his Traeger pellet smoker for like 15 hours or something on a little 4-amp Milwaukee battery.
Mm-hmm. Well, them power smokers, they don't draw a lot of watt.
No, I mean they're not even running most of the time.
Well, if you pull the thing out, it's kind of like an electric skillet power thing.
Yeah, that's awesome, Matt. So he said, I mean his job more or less is he plans for power outages, but I mean like you said, Matt, same concept. Mike said heat to this year is going to be a large copper coil and power heads drawing it through the pipe and a propane firebowl with a smaller coil. Be an interesting setup.
You build that in the ground, you'll be good. You could do it to where you could do the whole geothermal, depending upon where you live, if you can do it or not. If you live on a place where you can't put a basement, have fun with that.
Yeah.
Because you got a bunch of hard rock there. You better
right.
You might as well just buy the jackhammer. Don't run it because you might as well buy it. You know.
Yeah. Geek made a good point. You want to run that like if you do decide to go with the generators, like a backup or whatever, run it like times a year. You know, keep fresh fuel in it, keep ready to go. Because that would suck to go spend $400, $500, $600 on a generator that's only going to get used in an emergency, and then the one time you need to run it, and it's gummed up with bad gas or something, you know?
Well, the thing is, because I'm a small engine mechanic, with that, I will tell you, if you're not running it, drain the gas and then have the gas ready, because a lot of people are like, well, you don't want to drain all the gas because then the diaphragms, the O-rings will go bad. No, they won't, because they're actually in kind of a sealed system. So whenever you drain all that gas out, because you know you're not going to need it for a while, the O-rings, the diaphragms, they stay good because the gas, the ethanol, is not on them to start breaking them down.
Right.
So the best thing to do is either drain it, or there's a very good additive, like Geek Boy was saying. It's a blue color. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's like an Octane Boost. And what it does, it keeps your lines from turning into noodles. It kind of kills the ethanol in a way.
Yeah. Mike over at FFR said he had an electric water heater that was running him $600 a month. Yeah, that's steep, man. That's one thing. So a lot of people like electric appliances. I'll do a gas water heater all day, every day. So if I lose power, at least if I have a gas water heater, I've got some warm water. Danny said cold water sucks. Yep.
Yeah, it does. But in that aspect, with what Mike's saying, like what I'm thinking is with his water changes, because he has a rescue. So there is hot water heaters that you could do that are instant. It's like it's electric, but it's instant to where you don't have to heat up 60 to 100 and some gallon tank, which really hurts your electricity bill.
Yeah. And I looked because we just replaced, we didn't. My wife replaced our water heater when I was in Guam last winter. Mm-hmm. And we looked at going with a tankless, like on-demand water heater.
It's called a tankless water heater. I just forget the name brand that first came out with it.
Zen Ginger said she doesn't have gas. Yeah, okay. Huh. All right, there's any. Keep on. Get a gas instant water heater. That'd be nice. Said I'll always have a gas water heater and a gas stove, like an oven. Just, damn it, I like to cook food.
Right.
I mean, I'll always have a propane grill outside that I'm not afraid to use. That's what they're saying. They hone their barbecue skills during powder outages.
No, not just that. If you can't get the propane because the pump won't run, you just start using charcoal. But don't get the mashlite stuff. That just, you get that taste in the food. But they got this thing called lump coal now. That's the best stuff to use.
Yeah, I've honestly, I mean, I've used charcoal like when I'm camping or something, but I've never run just a charcoal grill myself.
My grill is both. One side's propane, the other one's charcoal.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty sick. I know a lot of like the pellet grills now. They'll have one side is propane and the other side's pellets. And then you can actually, there's a divider that you can open up so you can kind of cold smoke on one side, so it doesn't get so warm.
Yeah, they come up with so many different crazy stuff to cook food on the outside, which is good. But if I ain't mistaken, if you want to run a pellet grill, you got to have power to it, right?
Yeah.
So when in doubt, either use gas or charcoal on a power outage.
Danny.
Right.
Oh, man.
He's right.
And this man's from the Midwest too. Matt lives near me.
Yeah, he's close to you, Danny's close to you.
I don't know where he's at, but apparently he's within a 20-minute drive. I mean, we just found that out today. I didn't even know he was here.
Yeah, he actually works at a fish store.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You talking about Danny Weshy?
No, Matt.
Oh,
I know Danny works at a fish store. No.
No, Liquid Zoo. Yeah, he was a guest. Oh, it's Chattanooga Edstream, and because Ed's been doing some solo streams too now to just do his thing. But I think it was him. It was Ed, Matt, and Rico, and he said he was in Iowa. I was like, what? I know a couple people over there for you, bud, but I didn't know what part.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that Jeff Rose was within 2 hours of me until earlier this year. Yeah. I don't even know what him and Phoebe have been up to. They've been busy this summer.
She got to go back. I was following on Facebook. She's been working with weddings a lot at her job.
So, all right, guys. I'm actually just pulling off the interstate to roll up to my house. So I'm going to call it for tonight. I do appreciate Tom. Thanks for hanging out and chatting. It's been fun, man. It's nice. We haven't just chatted in a while. It's been too long, man.
We'll get there.
And of course, everybody else. Mike from Florida Fish Rescue. Thanks for stopping by today. I know you don't usually hang out around here with us, but appreciate it. Bob, thanks, buddy. We'll see you Sunday, I hope. If something pops up at work, I'll let you know. But right now, I plan on hanging out with Tom, Bob, and Bobby on Sunday night. And we'll chat for a little bit.
It's a big crew now.
Yeah. Alice Shan, Matt, Geek Boy, everybody here. Skull Aquatics is any. Again, thanks a bunch. I know today's streams have kind of been, a little different than my usual ones, just hanging out driving. But I appreciate you hanging out, and it's been nice catching up and talking to everybody. Missed you guys. So hope you have a good night, and we'll see you.
Bye, all.